Well, Finnair announced that instead of just weighing the luggage that you put into the hold when you go on the plane and weighing the carry-on luggage, we've all had those battles with the Ryanair and EasyJet, and they go, oh no, you're a kilogram over. Now they want to weigh passengers as well as their cabin baggage. Now, it could be a bit embarrassing when you get to the check-in desk, but the idea is not, we're told by Finnair, to fat shame us. The idea is simply to find out how much weight is on the plane, because it turns out the fatter we are, the more we weigh, and the more the plane weighs, and the more it costs them in fuel. Plus, they want to kind of spread out the weight on the plane. That's their explanation anyway. Everyone has been in uproar about this, but I'm not entirely sure they should be. I mean, it's voluntary, and they're not the first airline. Actually, Korean Airlines has done this, and it's not discriminatory. You know, no one's being forced to do it. I think realistically, we may get to a point in the future where this is not voluntary. I think anything could happen. I think people desperately want to, you know, cut their costs where they can, and this may be a way of doing it. So who knows what could happen in the future? But I think this is a first step towards being honest that, you know, excess baggage is excess baggage. Whether it's in your wheelie bag that you're carrying onto the airline, or whether it's on your hips, it still weighs the same. It's fat shaming. This is you know, the worst of the worst. This is victimization. It's bullying. You name it. People have thrown all those words around when actually it's just about maths. If you weigh more, you're costing the airline more, and not just that, you're also costing other passengers more. Now, a lot of airlines are already actually charging very obese passengers, not you and me had a few too many cocktails and pizzas on holiday type passengers, but they're already charging them for 2 seats. The trouble is, as a lot of us will have discovered on a long haul flight, when you suddenly have someone else's kind of blubber all over your armrest and you're squeezed in like this for 8 hours, that they'll charge them for 2 seats. But those 2 seats aren't next to each other, which isn't much benefit to the rest of us if they're kind of, I don't want to be cruel, but oozing over your seat. I mean, your airline seat is small enough as it is, isn't it? And, you know, I'm 5'11", I've got 34 inside leg. I need every single millimetre of my airline seat, thank you very much. And I don't want someone else encroaching on it. So there's been an outcry about it. But there was a poll a few years ago by an airline company that asked people what they thought about these sort of ideas. And actually, 9 out of 10 Britons thought, yeah, you should be charged more if you are overweight, because you're using up more space and you weigh more. In the same way that if you carry on a bigger bag, you get, you know, in a heavier bag, you get charged more for that. And we've all accepted that for years now. Our airline tickets are cost more because the planes are heavier because of other people. I mean, in my lifetime, things have changed massively. You know, in my school, every single kid would have been thin. I mean, you could see our ribs. It was completely normal. And we've gone from a day and age where people would be really very cruel to people who were fat, you know, pointing and shouting. Now, that's unacceptable. That's just bullying and horrible. That is fat shaming. To it being normalized. There are so many people overweight and obese in this country and America and Europe that we've just normalized it. But we've gone further than that now. I think we've got to the point where we are glamorizing it, where we are sort of, you know, taking pride in it. We've gone from having those waif stick anorexic models, like, you know, on the catwalk, for which the fashion industry was rightly criticized, to having, you know, Lizzo, a fantastically talented, brilliant singer, but a woman who celebrates her rolls of lard as if there's something to be proud of, as opposed to something that is literally going to put her in an early grave. Now, I don't think that's right. I don't want her to be ashamed of her body. Of course not. It's not my sodding business what her body looks like. But we shouldn't be celebrating unhealthiness. We wouldn't celebrate any other form of unhealthiness. So why this one? And I think we do need to get to a point when we have a more honest conversation about obesity, because it does impact all of us. Now, you and I, we've got the right to put on weight or lose weight. I've been on the New Year health kick. Lots of other people have. You know what? Lost a stone. I ate less and I exercised more. It wasn't much fun, but it worked. It's not that complicated, and we all know that. It's a lifestyle choice. But the key thing is people being very overweight. People being a bit overweight, that's their business. When people are obese, it has an impact on other people, because it has an impact, massive impact on incapacity benefits, sickness pay. It has a much bigger impact as well in terms of cost to the NHS. Your chances of getting heart disease, diabetes, cancer, far, far higher if you are very overweight. You're far more likely to need a hip operation, a knee operation. These things cost money and they're paid for by everybody else as well. And I think it's fair not to point the finger and be horrible to people who are overweight or struggling with their weight, but simply to say there is a cost and your choices, you've got the right to make those choices, but there is a consequence for other people. I don't want to nanny state people. I think people have a right. Like I have a right to enjoy drinking alcohol, which may mean I have a couple of years off my life. My life. That's my choice, as long as it doesn't cost other people. But I am charged a huge amount of tax on the alcohol that I drink, which helps pay for any alcohol-related problems that exist. People who smoke cigarettes, more than 80% of the cost of those cigarettes is tax, and that pays for treatment for people who smoke, getting lung cancer or other heart disease and other problems. I'm not saying we should have a fat tax, because that basically means you're taxing and making food more expensive and fizzy drinks more expensive for everybody else. But maybe when there are consequences of you being obese, that those consequences should be borne by you, not by everyone else. So, if I get a Ryanair flight and I have to pay extra for my ticket because a few people are very, very obese, I don't think that's fair.